What's going on, guys? Main Event Matt here to bring you my review of FaM's Survival pay-per-view show, internet exclusive, whatever you want to call it. They streamed it on Twitch tonight. It was 4.5 hours long, a long-ass fucking show. Great matches for the most part. I really liked the show. Of course, you know what my favorite match was, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about the main event first, just to get that out of the way. Honestly, I didn't care for the matchup at all. I liked the ending. The ending was interesting. I didn't like how he came out looking like the Terminator at the end. The GM, the whole basis of this match was a 5-on-5 survival tag match, which is basically a gauntlet series, but with a 5-on-5 team match up here. And one person from each team comes out first. Once one member gets pinned, then the next person from the team comes out, so on, so on. Kind of like Lethal Lockdown for TNA, if you know anything about that. But it was fairly interesting. I liked it. The problem I hated about this match, though, and the world title, was this aggravated me something terrible. Every single person would kick out of like 5 or 6 finishers before the match was over. And I'm not trying to say it was bad. I didn't think the match was that bad. I liked all the other matches besides the world title match and the final one, just because of the fact that it was overkill finisher wise. That's the problem I had with those two matches. But the ending was very interesting. I don't remember who starts it off. I think no, Slater. That's the other YouTuber's match. Someone started out. Black Heron started out against was it Guns? No, it was the debuting guy, Nick Virtue, which I could not stand him in this match simply because he literally kicked out of every fucking thing, and that was just ridiculous. But I understand why they did that. It was his debut. They had to make him look good. I mean, I don't think you need to make him kick out 100 finishers, though. That was the problem I had. But then the ending was very interesting. Once the GM is finally revealed, it's down to Rom, which I can't stand Rom, but that's besides the point. He's a very interesting character. I do like the entrance attire. That's fucking badass. But I cannot stand the character for some reason. I don't know why. It's just, he feels like too pushed, I guess. I don't know. But it came down to him and the GM. The GM comes out, which Andy's my favorite in this match. I'm Andy Badrule, if you watched it at all. He is my favorite character that's in the main event scene. So he got eliminated by some guy named Killswitch, which I haven't been watching this, I guess, all the way from the starting to know who the fuck Killswitch was. But Killswitch comes out. Apparently he used to be in a group with Andy and Rom, and Killswitch was his opponent. Andy ends up getting pinned after Darren interrupts, which is the spokesperson for the GM, I guess, for say. He makes a no disqualifications match. Killswitch attacks him. Killswitch attacks Andy with the steel chair and ends up hitting him with the, what does he call it? The switch pack, I guess. I think that's what they called it, which is the inverted DDT, kind of like sort of towards Sting's, but he like lifts him up into the vertical suplex and drops him into it. Whatever. He ends up hitting him with the kill switch, the switch pack, the freaking DDT onto the chair to get the 1, 2, 3. I was happy it ended there. I would have been furious if he kicked out of that, because that would have been insane. Even though Andy's my favorite, but he ends up getting pinned there. Then Rom comes out. Rom ends up putting on a good match with him, but he ends up pinning him. I can't remember off of what move. I want to say the GTS, but maybe not. Actually, I don't think it was a GTS. He pins him off of some maneuver, and then out comes the GM. The GM's like dressed up in this full-on Terminator gear, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And then finally at the end, when he beats Rom after completely destroying the shit out of him, Rom got like little to no offense in. He destroys the shit out of him, then ends up pinning him, and then afterwards he calls out Andy and takes his mask off and reveals himself to be Rom's brother, long-lost brother, one of the 4 founders, actually, of the group, which apparently they were hitting at this the whole night with that whole promo with there's always been 4. Well, they were talking about 4 founders, and this man is called the Original Sin, and his name is Rannick, and he is actually Rom's brother. And so basically he's came back in to take charge because he was too destructive when he first showed up, and he ended up injuring people, so they kicked him out and completely wrote him off TV and off their page or whatever. So that's the gimmick they're playing off of that, which is pretty cool. I like it. I'll take it. It's a lot better than just having him be the Terminator or whatever, which is what I thought it was. So that ending, I was a lot more happy about that ending than I thought I was going to be. Then, of course, we're going to talk about CM Pulse and Captain Falcon and Tony the Pizza Guy and how they defended the global championship, the FAM Global Championship, and I'm not sure if it's just Pulse's championship and Tony's just like a sidekick, or if they both have the title together. I don't know what it is. I don't care. A little bit of thing to hint out before this. Awesome little ad there. I liked how they advertised Tony the Pizza Guy's Now This Is Wrestling show. Debut show is going to be in August 22nd, I believe. I actually got tickets front row or ringside, whatever. That shows. I'll be going to that. That's going to be pretty cool. But no, this was a very short but good match. The thing that I liked about it was the fact that, shit. See, these matches, like I said, the show's been over 4.5 hours long. So I had to make like a shit ton of freaking notes. Oh, I pulled that down. I had to make a shit ton of freaking notes for this show because I wanted to remember like the big key spots. And with all these matches and how long the show was, it's going to be hard to remember the big key spots. But one of the things I put down here is the match starts off, Pulse comes run down to the ring, Tony's following behind him. Then all of a sudden the fat guy with like the mask on, the star, whatever his name is, I'm not sure who he is, the guy that was in Element Games corner, which was Pulse's opponent for the belt. This was a tables match. He ends up suicide diving out onto Tony and taking him out and taking him to the back. And while he's doing this, Pulse don't even care. He's just up on the apron, just shaking the ropes like a maniac. And then he gets in the ring. Match starts. We get a spot early on to where Pulse ends up going to put Element Games through the table on the outside. Goes for the shooting star press, and when he does, Element Games moves out of the way. Pulse goes right through the table. And then they do a spot later to where Element Games ends up going through the table because Pulse moves out of the way when Games is going for the spear through the table. That was a bad, crash there for Element Games. A spot that I put down here, which was really cool, was Pulse ended up hitting the knee of goddamn, it's on the shirt, the knee of Justice in the match. But before he hit the first one, he was going for one prior to that, and when he did, Element Games caught him into the spine buster, which was really cool. But then Pulse ends up hitting the knee of Justice, goes to get another table. Element Games ends up reversing it, puts Pulse on the table. Oh, and I put down another spot here. Apparently, there was a spot to where Pulse was going for a corner kick type thing in the corner. Element Games moved out of the way. Sorry, I'm trying to get this done really quick because I got a lot of notes I have to get through. He moves out of the way, and then Pulse is seated up on the top rope, and Element Games quickly arm drags him off the top, which was pretty cool. I like the animation that they did for that. And then, but the match ended up ending when Element Games went to the top to go to put him away, and the commentators did a good job of saying that he doesn't often go to the top, so he took a while to get up there. And then when he did, that gave Tony time to come back down to the ring, distract and give a big old fuck you to Element Games long enough before the Starman would come back and attack Tony. But that would be too late because Pulse would then get up on the top rope and deliver the Falcon's Arrow off the top through the table onto Element Games. Great way to end the match, in my opinion. I was hoping that Captain Falcon, or whatever you want to call him, I guess this is James Falcon's t-shirt, but Captain Falcon, same difference. They both use the same move. It's his dad, right? Who cares? Captain Falcon, I was hoping that he would use the Falcon's Arrow as a finisher eventually, and he did tonight. I know he's been using the Knee of Justice. He can still use the Knee of Justice. Alternative finish, Falcon's Arrow. It only makes sense. So Pulse retains the championship, and now we know at the next show, Pulse's #1 contender will be decided in a 6-man battle royal, which that should be pretty interesting. But all that matters is Pulse retained the belt, and then afterwards Element Games would end up getting furious and putting Pulse through the table with a huge press, military press into an Oklahoma slam through the table. Very impactful move, to say the least. They didn't have to do any extreme editing for that either, and it was still really cool. So, good pick for that on what move to go through the table. Now, I guess we can talk about the World Championship match, because I didn't really like it. So, I mean, we can probably get that done pretty quick. I don't even think I put down notes for it, did I? Yeah, I guess I have notes here. I just didn't crop it off. Okay, there was two really cool spots that I liked in this match. Like I said, I didn't really like this match because they literally kicked out of everything. This Death Angel guy, I don't like him to begin with. I don't like the character. No offense to whichever guy made him, but I just don't like the character at all. But he was fighting Twisted Merc, 2TM, which is someone I can usually withstand watching because I like his moveset. I like his repertoire, and he has a pretty cool entrance. So, not really sure what his gimmick is exactly. I mean, pretty much he's a heel right now. He's with their big group Betrayal. But, two really cool spots in this match, and it wasn't when he kicked out of the freaking Twisted Impact. Ain't that what he calls it? I think so. It wasn't when he kicked out of that kind of made me angry, because he literally kicked out of everything. But no, the neckbreaker counter into the pile driver. They had to do some extreme editing for that spot, so props to them. That looked fucking sick, though. He goes for the twisted neckbreaker to where he like runs under him, goes to flip over and twist him over into a neckbreaker. But when he did it, he caught him mid-move. And when I say pile driver, it wasn't a pile driver. It's just quicker to put down on my notes. It was that fisherman driver move. And that just looked fucking ridiculous. You know, in my universe, when Nick Richards hits it, that always finishes matches. Well, that's because it's a fucking ridiculous move. And countering the neckbreaker into a fisherman driver was freaking sick. So, props to them on that spot. And then the other spot in the match, where he goes for a diving power bomb off the top, Death Angel does, and 2TM catches him, and then proceeds to power bomb him over the ropes, was just freaking awesome too. They should have ended the match there. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, Death Angel was dead at that point. I mean, he's called Death Angel. Well, I mean, he's already dead now, so I mean, why continue the match? They ended up continuing the match though. Death Angel would end up fighting back into it, and he would end up pinning 2TM, or so we thought. But 2TM grabbed the ropes right when the ref hit right before the 3. He grabbed the freaking ropes. Darren shows up on the Titantron, whatever, in the back, the GM section, and he ends up restarting the match to where it's no disqualifications. And then, of course, what's their faces? The Skilled Foundation, who ended up winning the tag titles earlier in the show, which we will get to that. But they ended up coming out and costing Death Angel the match. So I was happy that 2TM got the belt back. That's all I have to say about that match. Like I said, I didn't really care for it besides those two epic spots. Now let's just start from the story and then go on from there. The show started out with the Divas division, first ever match, which is, I mean, Diamond's division, which is the Divas, the women's wrestlers. And it was between Eve, which I never even seen her. I guess apparently she's part of Betrayal. I guess she's been there for a while. I just never noticed it, I guess. And then there's Ellie, which whoever that is. And this match was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. This was a nice, short, but quick to the point match. It got you interested in the show. It was a good match. They start the match out very strong. Ellie, I believe, ends up doing a crossbody off the top to the outside, which was pretty cool. It was very basic, but it was very cool. It was a good way to kick off the match. Then she ends up putting Eve through a table to the outside with an elbow drop, clear across from that turnbuckle over to this table. It was like clear across the freaking side there, the width of the freaking arena, what's accessible anyways. There was freaking crazy distance. And I also put on here too many big kickouts for this match. I didn't really like the idea, like I've said, with them kicking out of so much stuff. I thought it should have been over after that elbow drop spot, which it wasn't, and then there's another big spot. But with the ending was perfect. Eve ends up firing up and pulling off a black heron type stunt here, and spits the red mist in Ellie's face, and then sends her off the ropes, going for the black and gold powerbomb. If you don't know what that is, pop-up powerbomb. When she goes for that, Ellie counters it into a hurricanrana and gets the roll-up victory, which was very good setup. That was a good ending to kick off the show. It didn't make Eve look bad, and it didn't make Ellie look overly good either. It still made her look good because she got the win. She got the win over Eve. But still, it had a good finish. That's what I'm trying to get to. Then next, we had the other big match that I'm interested in, which was Grimm versus Tubby Emu in a no-holds-barred match. And, well, let's just say the match starts out with Grimm doing a fat arrow to the outside. Yes, Grimm finally hit his fat arrow maneuver that he's been talking about for so long. He does a suicide dive. He does the Spaceman plancha, Adrian Neville style, to the outside and take out Tubby at the starting. And then these two fat fuckers are just climbing to the top of the corners and just diving onto each other. And it's just ridiculous. I'm just like, what is going on? They're not supposed to be jumping off the top rope here. This is insane. But then this match ends up ending pretty short. But a really cool spot was when Grimm calls for the AA. And then instead of him hitting it, right when Tubby gets up, Tubby is automatically not stunned anymore. And he hits Grimm with his own finisher. Apple juice! Into the cover. 1, 2, kick out. That was a great spot. I didn't have a problem with kicking out of that because Grimm kicked out of Grimm's finisher. That was the thing. He kicked out of his own finisher. So I'm completely cool with that. And especially like towards the end, like the last matches, they were hitting their finishers like early on, which is the problem I had with them. They're kicking out right afterwards. But this was a great spot. Then they freaking had a spot to where Grimm was going for some type of springboard, and then he gets caught in midair, kicked to the stomach, and then the Tubby bomb from Tubby Bulldozer. 1, 2, kick out. Grimm ends up setting up Tubby on the top rope and ends up superplexing him off the top to where the fucking ring collapses. The two fat fucks broke the ring. So the first match, the table is broken. The second match, the ring is broken. I mean, this is just setting up great. I mean, what are we going to break next? The freaking referee? I'd be fine with that. I'm pretty sure the ref got taken out in this match. Yeah, because Tubby plowed him over. I mean, which, well, what do you expect? But when they collapsed the fucking ring, but they did a great job of finishing that out, too, because I didn't know how that would play. I didn't know if Grimm was going to get up afterwards, but they both just stayed down the whole time, which was great. So neither of them really won. It ended in no contest. So I'm assuming we're going to get one final match finally at the final show, or maybe this feud will just end in a draw. I don't freaking know. But then after that we get Bash versus Devil, which I didn't even know this match was booked. This apparently is the Cyber FaM title, the Cyber FaM Day title, and it was between Cameron Bash, which I never even heard of him till this show. I probably forgot from the last show. I've only watched the past 2 shows. Versus Devil, which I remember him from the last one, simply because I do not like that guy. Well, they did a poll online on Twitter, I do believe. 3 options for what type of match this was going to be. No holds barred, 2 out of 3 falls, and steel cage. No holds barred ended up winning. I just wanted to see 2 out of 3 falls, but that works for me. No holds barred. This match turned out to have a lot of sick freaking spots. It started out with Devil just tearing apart Bash, just targeting every single limb. Leg, arm, head, neck, nose, finger, pinky, toe, whatever. It doesn't matter. He was targeting every single limb, trying to break, rip apart. I had down here, Devil tries to tear apart Bash. That's literally what I put on here. And I said about talking about the good commentary about how he was attacking the arm and executing that. Very good commentary. Then we get a sick table spot as he gets put through the table. He goes to, like, I believe this is the spot to where he has Bash leaning up against the table. Then Devil goes to fly off the top. Bash catches him out of midair. Fireman's carry slam through the table, otherwise known as the apple juice. But he throws him through the table. That's the point. Very cool spot. I enjoyed it. Then after that, what was another good spot I had down here? Clothesline counter. Okay, yeah, I remember this. Okay, it's that rebound lariat that you do off the ropes. He's going for the lariat. Then all of a sudden, when he ducks him, he ends up low blowing him right in the wing wing. And then after he low blows him, he ends up going for the tombstone, which apparently is Devil's finisher. But the fucker kicks out. Bash kicks out of the tombstone. Okay, that's cool. Then he goes to pin him again. This is hilarious. He kicks out again, and the commentator's like, "Do you really think he's gonna pin him after he didn't get pinned the first time?" Good job on saying that, because that was freaking hilarious. Do you really think he's gonna be able to pin him after he already kicked out of a tombstone? No. So it's completely pointless. Then after that, the match ends up ending with the spot of the night, in my opinion. The spot of the freaking night. My favorite spot. Devil ends up going for the old school, but when he doesn't, he goes to jump off the top rope to lay down the fist to Bash. Bash catches him right into the bash bottom, rock bottom, uranagi, whatever you want to call it. He catches him right into it, and it had a good camera angle and a good view to that. So I enjoyed that. And then Devil ends up getting fired thanks to Darren afterwards, so that was pretty interesting. Thank God, I hated that guy anyway, so he's gone. Although I do enjoy watching his matches now, I guess, after that one, because that was my favorite match, probably, other than Pulse, for obvious reasons, because I like Pulse, but if I wasn't trying to be biased at all, that'd probably be my favorite match. Then we had the tag titles match, which was a disappointment in my opinion, because it didn't actually happen. I love tag team wrestling, so I thought we were going to get a good looking tag team match here. But it ends up getting cut off when it's made into a no DQ match, I do believe. And Tiny and Tony end up coming out. They try to put one half of the Resurgence through a table after the other one was taken out by this Mr. Sicko. Then it's like the Attack of the Italians right now. Then Big Tony, or Tiny, goes to put him through a table, which is the big fat guy, oddly enough, which is funny in my opinion. I actually enjoy them. They're a pretty good comedy team. He ends up going off the top rope after Tony says he's going to call his mother if he doesn't. Tiny's scared of heights. He does it anyways. He only gets about a foot from the turnbuckle before he falls and crashes and pretty much kills himself on the outside. Then one half of the Resurgence, I believe his name was Mexi. I'm not sure. I didn't really hear it very well. But he ends up getting back in the ring, ends up destroying Tony, absolutely murdering him, which was great. I loved it. Then they end up doing a spot. I believe that's still the same match. Yes. Then the Skilled Foundation ends up coming out when he's about ready to take care of Tony. And then they end up taking him out. And they... Was that after the match or before? It was before. Yeah, because that aggravated me too. He kicks out. They freaking... Can't remember exactly what they do first, but they take him down. They end up putting him on the table. And he ends up getting 450 splashed through the fucking table. And then they go in for the cover. He kicks out. Then they do the corner move. He kicks out of that, and they do one more corner move, and they pin him. So that was a pretty weakened match, in my opinion, but it was very eventful, and it was pretty interesting. And now the final match of the show, featuring my favorite FAM member, Anarchimus. We had the FAM Team FAM versus Team YouTubers, the 7-on-7 gauntlet style match, kind of like the main event, except it was 7-on-7. FAM versus YouTubers. And I'm just going to list off the awesome spots in here before I get down to the ending and tell you the ending sequences. I can't remember who he did it on, but there was a diving curb stomp spot from Delzinski. So, shout out to him on doing that, because that was freaking awesome. Should have finished that guy off. I don't know why they didn't use that for the finish, because that was freaking sick. That was sick, but nonetheless, awesome finish. Awesome move, since it didn't finish it. And then we had, what's his face? Tom Cushney. He got eliminated in like 2 seconds by the old man with the white goatee. Slater, I believe was his name. He ends up big booting him and pins him off of that, which was pretty funny. Then And then we get a spot later to where Delzinski ends up going for the curb stomp again, but it ends up getting thrown into a Samoan drop, which was great. Then we get, I think that's afterwards. Okay, we get the dummies of It's My Yard that come out here, and there's like 3 of them, and they just like spawn off, and they're just like dummies, and it's hilarious. They end up evening the odds before they get eliminated by this new guy who came from the review last time that they did. I don't know. I had no clue who he was. He ends up eliminating them. And then Will King comes out, ends up hitting a Kingdom Cutter on what's-his-face. Shit. Come on. Damn it. It wasn't 101. It was Smack Talks. There we go. Jeez. Okay, Smack Talks ends up coming out, eliminating, I believe, 2 or 3 people, which is pretty funny. With the red arrow, and then then after Will King comes out, Smack Talks ends up going for a red arrow to the outside, but when he does, he catches him mid-move into the Kingdom Cutter, and that right there was the biggest frustrating point for me for this whole show, is when he hits the Kingdom Cutter out of the red arrow. They do the red arrow motion, but still get the freaking cutter out of it, which was freaking awesome, instead of him just jumping off and getting cuttered. He does the freaking motion, the flippy motion, and gets hit with the cutter. He rolls him back into the ring. Obviously, this guy's already gone through 2 people. Smack Talks has already gone through 2 people. You would think that cutter would have finished him, I would think. But he kicks out. And I was just like, what the fuck, man? But then he ends up getting eliminated. It all comes down to Anarchimus and Gore and Perkins. Anarchimus ends up being in there with Gore first, which Gore ends up trying to attack him with the bat. Fails the fuck out of it. Anarchimus takes the bat, throws it to the outside. They get a good match here. We get a suplex into a lariat. What was I trying to say there? That was what my note said. Okay, yeah, I remember. He's going for the German suplexes. He snaps off 2. Then the guy counters out of it and then goes for like a bull hammer or something. But then Anarchimus comes back and hits him with the freaking lariat, which was awesome. Then we get a super kick rope rebound into a spear, which was the guy, I believe it was Gore, super kicks Anarchimus. Anarchimus does the rope rebound where he falls in, comes back out, but when he does, he gets speared by Gore. 1, 2, kick out somehow, or yeah, he kicked out. And then Anarchimus ends up beating him with, I believe he ended up beating him, no, he beat the first guy with the pile driver. He beat this guy, I do believe, with the uppercut, with a springboard, wasn't a springboard, a catapult uppercut, I do believe. Then we end up getting Perkins out last, which Perkins, it ends up turning into no disqualification. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That one doesn't. The thing with this was Gore ended up coming back out there after they had a good fight, and Perkins ended up drop kicking him into the ropes for a 619, and then would follow it up with a 450 into a freaking brainbuster, which was awesome. 619, then springboards into the 450, lands on him. It's over. Lift him up. Twisting brainbuster. 1, 2, 3. The YouTubers win. But then afterwards, the greatest thing ever, Gore and Perkins beat the fucking shit out of Tom Cushney. Ha, 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 ha. No, I'm just joking, but I thought that was pretty funny. I think that's all the matches. Well, like I said, my favorite match of the show was probably Bash and Devil, if I can't be biased and say CM Pulse's match. I just say CM Pulse because Captain Falcon and Tony Pizza Guy was in it. But if I can't be biased, the overall best match was Bash and Devil. So, I really liked that match. Like I said, didn't care for the main event. The Divas match was okay. I'm going to rate every match now. First match, 7. Solid match. I liked it. Grim versus Tubby, 6 because of the spots, but it's a little lackluster. Bash versus Devil, 9.5. Like I said, I like that match. Amazing finish. So, trying to find where the next one was. I guess that's all the spots from, yeah, that's all the spots from that one. Tag titles match: Skilled Foundation versus Resurgence. I'll rate that one a 3. Like I said, I didn't like that one, just because we got cut off and we didn't get an actual match. FAM versus the YouTubers, this big 7-on-7 survivors type thing. I will give that, just because of the cool spots and Archimus and the good finish, I'll give it an 8. Then what's next? The world title match. Now, like I said, a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but 5. I didn't like that. I didn't like those guys. Give me a break. Then we get Pulse versus Element Games. This match, simply because it was nice and short, wasn't too long, wasn't too extended. 9.5.1. Then we get the main event, which was Team ROM versus Team GM, and I will give that a solid lucky number 7. So, overall, I like the show. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was better than the last one that I watched. I liked the last one a lot better. But overall, like I said, good show. Great show. And other than that, like I said, if they wouldn't have kicked out as many finishers, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. It would have been great. Those other 2 matches would have been great. But other than that, yeah, go Team Falcon.